me just tie that back up. It's kind of like a homemade bow. Can you tell that? Oh, there's bits hanging off my hat everywhere. I think this hat is had it. I can see it in the lens. That bow's meant to be there. Is that going to be distracting for you guys? It's meant to be over on the side, but okay. Hi guys. So I haven't done a Throwback Thursday in a few weeks. Last week I did actually film one, and when I watched it over, I was just like, ugh, that is so rambled and so boring, and I just didn't put it on. I was going to film another one, and then I just didn't get any time, and so here we are. I met my husband. I should have done a video with him, I guess, but he's always working, and as much as he he encourages my YouTubing and all that kind of thing, when I put him in a video, he goes very shy and he kind of mumbles and he just doesn't really talk, and I'd probably just do all the talking anyway, so I may as well just do it on my own. So, when I met Jono, it was the end of 2011. Yes, it was the end of 2011. And me and one of my friends, Jasmine, were thinking of going camping for New Year's. No, Boxing Day, I think it was. And so we decided to kind of text around some friends and see if they all wanted to come. Sorry, but this is going to be a really fast-speaking video because I've got a lot to say to get it all in, but we decided to go camping, so we're texting around, and she came in contact with a guy called Wayne that was one of her past, they had been friends kind of years and years ago, and she came back in contact with him, so she had been talking to him for a while, and we invited him to come camping, and he said yes, and then he said to Jasmine, do you remember Jono, which was Wayne's best mate, and they used to all hang out together, and Jasmine's like, oh yes, I haven't heard from him in a long time, you know, what's he up to? At that time, he had a partner, and he had lived far away, not far away, but he had lived kind of down the country more, and he was returning back up to the North Island, and so Wayne said, look, I'll see if they want to come too, which is fine. His partner at the time didn't want to come, camping wasn't her thing, and so he was kind of, oh, I don't know if I'll come or not, but we're just like, well, you're more than welcome to come. And then a couple of weeks later, we got this text from Wayne saying, well, Jono's coming because him and his partner have broken up. Next thing, there's alarm bells going off in everyone's heads, and Jasmine's like, Emma, you know, like, he's a lovely guy, you guys should get to know each other, it's going to be a fun trip, and you can get to know him, and all this kind of thing. So I added him on Facebook and got talking to him, and he had a mullet. No way. Like, no offense to anyone, but that's not my thing. And this wasn't just a mullet, this was like a home cut mullet. And so I said to her, no, I'm not interested. Like, he sounds like a nice guy, but he's just not my type. So that was fine. I mean, we still talked. Me and Jono still talked because we're obviously going to meet each other and go camping together and all this kind of thing. And then I think a couple of days later, Jasmine must have said something to Wayne, because then Wayne came back and said, you know, no, he doesn't have that mullet anymore. It's an old photo, and, you know, here's a photo of him, and she sent a photo. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, he is a decent looking guy. I was like, oh, he looks a bit young, but, you know, we'll meet and see how things go. We'll see how this trip goes. Unfortunately, leading up to Christmas, my nephew was born, and he had Patel syndrome, which is a chromosome syndrome, and he wasn't expected to live very long, and he passed away the day before Christmas at 9 days old. So I had to cancel going on the trip, and we travelled down to Hamilton to meet baby and to meet little Jet, and then of course we came back, after he passed away, and then a few days after Christmas, which was when we went camping, we went back down for his funeral. And the whole camping thing and meeting Jono and that kind of all slipped by the wayside because obviously we had more important things to do. That night, and they ended up not going camping because of the weather. They ended up all still meeting up and just kind of having a really good night. And I'd hear all about it, and I was hearing about other people. A message has been received. It's just my phone. I was hearing about other people kind of talking to Jono and all this kind of thing. I started getting real jealous in my head. I was like, no, because I've been talking to him a lot, and I was getting quite fond of him, and I was like, no, I need to be there. No, this can't happen. But so a few days later, once I returned back up, I think New Year's Eve felt like a week later after they had all met up, and Jono texted me and said, me and Wayne are going to come back up and see you guys, see all you girls, and I want to meet you. So I was like, okay. So they all came around to my place, and it was the first time I had met them, and it was just really awkward because no one else got there first, so it was just me and these boys, and I was just like, they were actually strangers, but eventually all the other girls turned up, and we had a good day together, and me and Jono got along really well. And when it came time to leave, I just didn't want him to leave, and I was like saying goodbye, and I always said to him, I still remember when I was like looking down off my steps looking at him, it was then and there, and I was like, right, no, we're getting together. So he was just so cute, and he was just the most loveliest person. At this time, I still don't think I knew how old he was, and I was like, oh, he's a bit young, but I just loved him. So we talked for a while, Facebook lots, text into the night kind of thing, and I said, and my birthday was 3 days later, and I said to him the day before my birthday, I don't suppose you want to come up? I'm not doing anything. His mate Wayne was still up from the South Island because his family lives up here, and he was up for those holidays. So him and Wayne came up again for my birthday, and we all hung out, and Jono goes, because he's really into his music and that, and he pulled out guitar pick, and I was like, happy birthday, and I still have that guitar pick, and I was like, oh, thanks, thank you, but later on he kind of handed over a bottle of wine. He's like, happy birthday, and all that kind of thing, and we just go along so well. Like, I just loved having him around, and he had met Jaden that day that they had all come around a few days prior, and him and Jaden go along like a house on fire, and so we kind of just chugged along, talking a lot. Nothing was really made, official or anything. I think I was probably nagging to make things official, but nothing was really made official. And then a few weeks later, I think I texted him and I said, look, do you want to come up, watch some movies, have some dinner? Like, I was doing all of this, and I was like, do you want to come up? And he's like, yeah, no, I'll come up for the evening, and we'll hang out, just you and me. I was like, okay, cool. So we hung out, and we had a really good night, and that kind of thing. And it came time to, because he was living an hour away, it kind of came to like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I said, look, what are you doing? Do you want to come, do you want to stay, do you want to go, do you want to sleep on the couch, or whatever suits you? And he kind of said, if you don't mind, I will stay. But he was like the true gentleman that night, and we had our first kiss that night, but other than that, he was like a true gentleman. And when he left the next day, we were talking later on, and I said, what's happening? Because I just want to know what's happening. Why are you thinking? And he kind of, I think he was just one of those very old-fashioned people. He just wanted to take it slow and just see what happened. But he did come back to me, and he said, let's do this. We obviously care for each other, and let's do this. So that's what happened. That's how we got together. He would come up every Wednesday night and then leave for work at like 3 o'clock in the morning to travel back an hour. So he'd come up every Wednesday night, and then would always spend the weekends together. And yeah, so that is my Throwback Thursday. That is how me and him got together. He helped me through those couple months of losing my nephew. I figured out that he was 30, and I was like, you do not look 30. But no, he was 29, sorry. And I was just like, you do not look 29. It took me a long time to believe him, but I met his family. His family were wonderful. He met my mum and dad. They loved him. He really loved Jaden, so everything just blended really well together. And So that is my Throwback Thursday. I'm sorry if it was a big ramble, but I thought I'd just get that story out there, and that's what I'm trying to do at the moment for Throwback Thursdays. I just spat everywhere. I'm trying to get our history out for you guys to all know. So next Throwback Thursday, so next week, I will do how me and Jono found out we were pregnant with Bentley, because there wasn't much time between this story and that story. So stay tuned, and I will talk about that next week. Alright guys,